Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Do you feel like you are bogged down with routine admin work day in, day out?
There's so much admin!
And it's taking away time from value-add activities, being creative and engaging with people. I was the same and I got frustrated.
This ends now.
So I started doing some research into ways that I could automate my workflow and day-to-day activities as well. Now, the best thing about this is you do not need to know how to code. I was not a coder, I don't have a technical background. I do work at a tech consultancy and I have a certain level of digital skills, but what I'll share with you in this video, you do not need to know any programming languages.
What? Did we just become best friends?
So I'm going to go through the key principles and basics around automation, and then we'll share 3 examples of where I've used different tools, common tools, to reduce my routine admin work by 20 working days.
Show me.
So a bit of context, I'm a digital inclusion project manager at a large tech consultancy, and essentially I help coordinate our volunteering program across the UK. So there's a lot of operational work. So I typically coordinate about 1,000 plus colleagues to volunteer across the UK. And I also manage our grant process and awards as well. I've been in the team for about 9 years, and that's me at work. At home, I'm a dad to 2 toddlers. I'm a trustee at Newcastle West End Food Bank, 15 years of experience working with different charities. And yeah, my schedule is pretty heavy. And then I've got all my kind of side hustles and things like that, the podcast coming up, these YouTube videos. I do a lot of blogging as well. So there's a lot of things happening. Before I continue, I have a confession to make. I am not an automation expert. I mentioned in my intro, I don't have any program experience. However, what I am, as mentioned, is a project manager. And within that role, yeah, I'm an administrator, I'm a coordinator. There's lots of meetings happening. There's loads of teams that I'm coordinating, loads of different business units as well. Loads of different moving parts, and within that there's data processing and reporting responsibilities. So loads and loads of processes are completed digitally. So with that in mind, let's jump into digital process automation 101. So the basic definition of digital process automation is using digital tools and programs to complete an activity without you. And it's ideal for routine and repeatable tasks with a clearly broken down process and rules. That's really important. Now, why would we want to automate? So there's the obvious ones around you can do an activity faster, the quality will increase, or be consistent with the activity that you're doing, but also lag time is reduced. So for example, if you've got a request for information and you need to follow up on email or other way, then that lag time is reduced to technically seconds if you've put in a automation to do that. And through that, you're increasing your customer service as well. And one thing to mention is, you know, consideration to human downtime. So we all get sick at some point. We take holidays, we've got dentist appointments and taking the kids somewhere, something happens. There could be dozens of different examples. We need to consider that as well. And you can have things in place where it can be ticking along while you're not there. And what do you do with all this time? So this is, for me, the biggest benefit of automating activities and reducing that admin load is it frees up time for reflection, to review and be critical of what it is that you're doing, and free up your time to work on creative tasks and value add activities, as I've mentioned. So one quote that I love from Bill Gates is, he said, "The first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. So before we dive in, and I recommend don't go straight to automation. Have a period, spend some time where you're reflecting on what it is that you're exactly doing. So before you start, look at your processes, reflect, be critical. Often, you're going to find time savings in just reassessing how you're doing something. So if you've eliminated some waste or some steps, then that's not automation. That's just elimination of that activity altogether and saving time. So firstly, look at what you can eliminate, and then look at what's left. And if you can simplify the process of what you're doing, then you look at automation. And then you could look at delegating some activities, and then what you're left with is your value add. So going back to what can be automated. So ideally, these are routine and repeatable tasks. So this could be like setting up meetings, moving data, recording data, map out what you're doing and understand the logic behind what it is. So break it down into steps. So this will help you when you're choosing a certain tool, building out that automation. So if you are going to use a tool that builds automations, having a clear process of what you're doing will help you build that as well. And do a cost benefit analysis. So not everything that can be automated should be automated. So you might be spending more time trying to build that automation, whereas you could have just done that activity as well. And there's other considerations as well. Is this going to impact the customer service that you provide to whoever your customers are? My customers are my colleagues in the business. They're the ones that I'm engaging in volunteering activity. So you may not want to implement an automation if it impacts that human interaction and level of face-to-face customer service that's needed in completing that activity. And then lastly, document it as well, as I've touched on. So if you're moving into a different role, you're leaving the company, then handing over your automations that you've built with some notes and documentation, that person who's taking over is gonna thank you very much, because it's going to be complicated to understand what you've set up, and it's going to be a nightmare. And then they might just dump it and hit restart on the whole thing. So another quote I like to share is from James Clear and his book Atomic Habits, and this is where it really kicked things off for me in terms of trying to look for improvements. And he said, changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results, so if you're willing to stick with them for years. Now, it doesn't have to be years. I started putting these techniques and tools into practice, and I was seeing the benefits and results within months. So it's fantastic. But what James, what I take from this quote is, small little changes and improvements that you can make through these automations can really add up. So I was doing some activities that took like hours, and then I got it down to minutes. There are other activities that I was doing for minutes, got them down to seconds, but over a long enough period, these really add up. And this is where I managed to save 1 month, just shaved off 1 month of administrative work. Who wouldn't want that? So let's dive in. I'm going to go into sharing the 3 different tools that I've used. So first one up is Microsoft Teams. There is a feature, a bit like Eventbrite, where you can, when you're sending out invites, you can activate a registration feature. So the pain point I was having was sending out loads of hundreds of invites and then tracking all those invites. So previously, somebody would email me, I want to attend this activity, copy and paste, and then there'll be like a long thread. Sometimes I'm sending out to dozens and dozens of people. So what you can do with this event registration feature, and I've done a separate video on this actually, so you can find the link over here or over there where I've configured it, using the event registration feature. So this has saved me a huge amount of time. So 6 days it saved me. So what it does is it'll generate a URL, a form that you send out to your attendees. They fill this in, and then it will automatically send an invite to your diary and also your attendees as well. And then within MS Teams, you just go to the invite, and then there's a dashboard view where it shows all the invitees, and you can just click download if you want to do any follow up. So it saves a lot of times. Second one, CalendarHero. So this is an AI powered scheduling software. So my pain point was sending out multiple emails to arrange a mutual date for a meeting. So I set up hundreds and hundreds of meetings every year, which includes external people. So I can't see their diary to see when they're available. So what CalendarHero does is automate the entire scheduling workflow to setting up a meeting. So you've probably found yourself in a situation where you're sending out some dates and times options for people, and you've sent this out to let's say a group of 4 or 5 people, and they're from different parts of the business or they're from different companies, and then you go through that merry-go-round of getting the replies. Maybe a couple of days later, somebody said this date is best for them, another person said that, and then you're still waiting for someone a week later, and in that meantime, somebody else replies and saying, "Oh, I can't make these dates anymore. Can you switch it around?" So there's so many different emails going around, and you just get so frustrated with it. CalendarHero simplifies that, automates the whole workflow. No emailing back and forth. It's got a simple interface. People select which options to go for, and then the tool sends out the invites when there's a mutual date agreed. Tool number 3. So Microsoft Power Automate is an incredibly powerful tool. This is an actual tool where you do create custom automation. So I've just started scratching the surface with this one. So the things that pain points that I had was around getting approvals, downloading responses from Microsoft Forms or other forms, and also replying to emails, so basic requests for email. So there's templates that are used in Microsoft Automate, which makes it even further simple for you to use. Firstly, there's no coding involved, and then secondly, there's these templates that you can pick up. So 90% of the automations that are built are using these templates. So this is the best example here, which really impresses people when I show them at work and let them know, is I created a approval workflow. So the context is I need to give approval to people using our volunteering code. So our colleagues get 2 days of volunteering off a year, but I need to check that activity adheres to our guidelines. So previously I was using, downloading the information, opening it up an email, needed to get some further details, and then there's a bit of a back and forth, and then I have to copy and paste the code. So with Power Automate, it generated a approval form, extracting the data from the form for me and sending me the relevant details for me to make a decision. And then all I need to do is click the box, add in some comments, approve or decline, and then send them the code. So I got down the average time that I spent doing this from about 8 minutes. The fastest I did it was 10 seconds. So incredible, absolutely incredible. So I really hope this video has been helpful for you. I'll leave some links in the video description, some how-to guides on the examples that I've shared, so you can have a go yourself. And I really hope that you can reduce your admin work. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next vid.